Number 4, love is not rude. 1 Corinthians 13 and verse 5. A loving person is very polite. Another word for polite is courtesy, which is the short form, the abbreviated form for court etiquette. Court etiquette. It has to do with manners, how one behaves in the court of a king. When Queen Elizabeth was young, she and her sister, Princess Margaret, were going to an official function. On their way out, the Queen Mother admonished them as they opened the door. Remember, girls, royal manners, royal manners. You see, they are princesses. They must know the manners of being royalty. We are sons and daughters of the King of Kings. How much more must we carry ourselves with manners worthy of royalty? Those who possess agape love are called to polite behavior. We must not be pushy, inconsiderate, vulgar, or offensive in our speech. Love never expresses itself in gross language or actions. 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 8, Peter says, "Finally, all of you be of one mind, having compassion for one another. Love as brothers. Be tender-hearted. Be courteous." You see that? Be courteous. A loving person is not just compassionate and gentle. He's very polite, very courteous. Harshness of speech is a form of rudeness. We should never interrupt each other or raise our voices in conversation. When Paul was on trial before King Agrippa, he was presenting his defense. In the middle of his testimony, he was very rudely interrupted by Festus, the proconsul, the governor. So let's look at Acts 26. Acts 26 and verse 24. Now, as he thus made his defense, Festus said with a loud voice, "Paul, you are beside yourself. Much learning is driving you mad." Festus, the governor, was loud. He interrupted Paul and accused him of being crazy. He was very rude, very, very rude to Paul. But look at how Paul replied. Verse 25. This is Paul speaking, and he said, "I'm not mad, most noble Festus, but speak the words of truth and reason." See how Paul answered with love? He was very polite, very honoring. "Oh, most noble Festus, I'm not mad." King Agrippa was so impressed by Paul's manners and touched by his words and demeanor. Verse 28, Agrippa said to Paul, "You almost persuade me to become a Christian." Paul's love within him melted the hardest of hearts, and it is a love that is not rude. Raising a voice when you are provoked is a sin. Do you know that? How often when you're in the midst of argument or intense discussion and you raise your voice? Ephesians 4 verse 31 says, "Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor." If you have a Bible, I want you to circle it, okay? Clamor. "Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice." Now, what do you mean clamor? To clamor means to speak loudly and insistently. You are fed up and you want to get your word in. So you raise your voice and you speak insistently. It is not a loving thing to do. It's a sin. Rudeness is a love killer. You got to ask the Holy Spirit today, help you to be a polite person. Learn to be gentle, be encouraging, be honoring. A polite person will never be presumptuous and over-familiar with others. See, presumption is the lowest form of knowledge. When you visit homes, never enter rooms uninvited. And don't overstay your welcome. It's already 10 p.m. Your host has to work the next day. He has already switched off the TV and already yawning. Please don't keep on talking and talking and talking. His wife has washed the cups and change to the pajamas, and you're still talking. Don't you get it? It's time to go. You should always leave before others want you to leave. Remember your royal manners. Jesus says that when you're invited to a banquet, to a dinner party, don't presumptuously go to the front and sit near the VIP table, because you will only embarrass yourself. You will be asked by the ushers to move to the back. Did Jesus teach this? Yeah, Luke chapter 14, verse 7 to verse 11. Luke 14, verse 7 to 11. Don't ever become over familiar with people, not with your friends, certainly not with your bosses, and not with your leaders. Cherish your relationships, treasure them. Always be polite, respectful, and honoring. Remember your manners, your royal manners. By being impolite, you are basically saying, I don't care how you feel. Even if you're hurt by my actions or my words and attitudes, I don't care. But love cares. Love is very sensitive and tactful about people's feelings.